In this hyper-competitive world, most struggle to find their edge. With so many tasks at hand, it seems impossible to keep up. On top of that, we're bombarded with dopamine-stimulating sugars and TikToks steering us away from the things we call productivity. Most want to become more productive as if being more efficient will solve this game. Ironically, productivity is about working less, not more. And maybe it's about taking care of your health to boost energy levels, to make distractions hard to come by, to organize tasks in such a way that leverages this awesome technology that we have. But how do you do this? As someone who's running a health and wellness site, I'm a part-time kinesiologist, I run this channel and I'm doing my master's on caffeine, plus have written over 200 articles and read over 200 books. I think I'm competent enough to talk about this thing called productivity. I had to learn to become more efficient over the years to be able to complete all these tasks. And today, I'll share my tactics and my philosophy with you. This shall help those with hyperactive brains and those who struggle with low motivation and procrastination. And this isn't just eating the frog or organizing tasks better or deleting social media type of thing. This is actual fundamental stuff that you can do to set yourself on a better path to success. Productivity is all about efficiency. To even talk about productivity, we need to understand and agree upon the fact that time is limited. With every day that passes by, that battery gets drained a little bit by little, leaving less time to achieve our objectives and live the life we want. What we want when we say productivity or being more productive is the ability to produce more by using less, by expending less energy. So here are my top 7 areas to focus on if you want to drain that battery slower. First is energy levels. Taking care of your health is going to enhance your cognition, make your brain think faster and sharper, and increase your energy levels. This is sort of the fundamental block. It doesn't matter which productivity app you use or how you know to organize and delegate stuff. If you don't have health and energy, time is useless. You can't do anything in it to fill it up and produce something in the world. The fundamental blocks of good health is the cliche that you've already heard about: diet, sleep, and exercise. With all the research I've done, because this is the topic that interests me the most, sleep is by far the most important. The top 3 things I do to improve my sleep is wearing blue blockers at night, limiting my exposure to caffeine and sugars, especially in the later parts of the day, having a consistent sleep schedule, and wearing a sleep tracker. Next thing is diet. While this is a complex topic, if you just stop eating sugars or reduce your sugar intake and start increasing the intake of healthy fats, I think you're on a great path towards a better working brain. And last one is exercise. For everyone, this is going to be different, but if you can invest in a standing desk, if you work at a desk all the time, or if you can start lifting 2 to 3 times a week, or if you can take your 10,000 steps on a daily basis every single day, then you're at a way better level than if you were to just live sedentary. The fourth one I like to add for an extra boost is nootropics. So I use different cognitive enhancing herbs, caffeine, and alpha GPC in my routine to optimize brain function. The next pillar is motivation. So this is going to be about ditching quick dopamine and finding your purpose or your why. We humans run our tasks either because there is a great reward we want to experience or a great pain we want to avoid. That's what motivates us. When we're exposed to quick dopamine stimulators like sugars or TikToks, our dopamine levels are out of whack. In that state, we're operating suboptimally. Think of the difference between earned pleasure and passive pleasure. So reading a book can be an enjoyable task that is also valuable. Looking at TikToks is also very pleasurable, but not of high value. And so your brain is always going to try to steer you towards the task that requires less energy to start. So that's just quick dopamine triggers. It's on you to direct your brain towards the hardest task, or what they like to call eating the frog. So do something of high value, something that's hard first thing in the morning to set you up on a better path, to set you up in a better state for achieving and being successful later in the day. By reducing quick dopamine exposure, like limiting social media time, not watching any pornography, or not consuming any drugs, alcohol, and reducing or limiting your amount of processed sugars, your physiology is at a much better place for you to be successful. Fundamentally though, your motivation stems from a great why. And if you haven't discovered it yet, read Simon Sinek's book, Find Your Why, and really engage and go on that process of finding your why. You need it. Otherwise, without a target, we're aimless. There is no direction, no dopamine to fuel us. The next one is minimalism. This is about optimizing your environment, removing clutter, and removing mental distractions like notifications. So the easiest way to see this, the more tasks and more different things the brain is trying to work through, the more energy it is going to require and the less momentum you can build. The more clutter you have in your environment, the more cluttered your brain and your mental state is. In such a fuzzy mental state, one is not focused enough and not sharp enough. A minimalist environment that gets rid of all the unnecessary stuff, I'm talking even a lot of colors and textures, can be hyperstimulatory. Removing the unnecessary notifications and distractions in your email, on your phone, on whatever apps that you use that pull your focus and attention every 10th minute. Then it's prioritization. Out of the 1,000 tasks that you should do, what 5 are the most important? Write them down and start specifically aiming at those. Last one is minimize, exclude, or delegate trivial tasks. So for example, if you do your laundry every week, but you technically with a little bit of optimization could do it every 4th week, that's a lot of time and less energy spent. If you can make less trips to the grocery store and buy all the ingredients you need in a batch once a week, that's great. Administrative tasks that can be delegated and run by someone else, do it as quick as you can. Leverage technology. So making a use of a good productivity app is probably the first thing you think of when you're exploring the topic of productivity. Why? Because your brain is not made to store information, but it should be able to access it quickly. And if you can optimize the data by sequencing and filtering and setting alarms and reminders, your brain is going to spend less energy thinking about a given thing and is going to be sure that it's going to get reminded or that it can access an information very quickly. So what to do? Pending tasks should be written down, reminders and alarm clocks should be set so your brain can think less and this makes it easier for your brain to let go. So there's less mental clutter going on. Next thing is automations, or if you're a content creator, the auto posting feature helps a lot. So you just create it once, optimize it, automate it, and it just runs on its own without you doing the repetitive administrative tasks all day long. The app that I use the most is Notion because it helps me be creative, it helps me let go and journal, it helps me create filterable table I can skim through easily, and it also helps me organize my data in a way that makes the most sense. I have a lot of freedom in how I'm going to paint my canvas in a way. Next very important thing is momentum. So when a car accelerates and is already running fast, it doesn't need a lot more energy to continue. But when it stops or you need to change direction, a lot of force needs to be applied for you to propel that car forward. And the same is with your tasks. When your brain decides to focus on a task, you build sort of a neural sequence or a flow of thought, which makes it very easy for you to go and do the task. When you need to refocus on another task, there's a lot of that shift requires a lot more attention, force, and energy for you to get into the new task and build momentum there. So this is why you need to do 2 things. First of all, ditch all the unnecessary notifications on your phone. Why? Because when you're in momentum within a given task, that phone disturbs you, distracts you, and wastes a lot of that energy and attention trying to refocus. Second thing, to build more momentum, you need to batch tasks. So say you have one complex task, you can sort of divide it into all the subtasks that require the same neural sequence to be run. So you do all these similar subtasks at once in batch, and then you're done. Last thing is try to avoid dump gaps in your schedule. So all the 45 to hour and a half gaps in your schedule make you lose a lot of time, energy, and attention because you spent them doing literally nothing. If you can sort of condense your schedule and fit all the work into the work hours and have your rest into the rest and vacation and start doing something else kind of time, then do it as quick as possible. Last most important step from a neurological perspective is the letting go part. Your brain after a heavy day or a week is stressed. It's fuzzy, it's very overwhelmed, having a lot of thoughts, which I like to call them toxins because they actually build up as toxins in our brain that we need to flush out. So whether you do that by journaling, ruminating on your thoughts during hiking, listening to a good podcast, reading a book, talking to your partner about your emotional state, whatever it is, you're trying to sort of let go and flush those toxins out so your brain is ready to refuel and reset itself. Once a week, I do journaling in Notion, which helps me alleviate a lot of these stressors. The point is to free our brain from information overload and emotional overwhelm. Funny enough is why I recommend you to Netflix and chill sometimes, which isn't really the favorite of the productivity experts. Why? Well, watching a good show takes you somewhere else, where you can really relax and wind down. And this is especially beneficial at nighttime, I believe, where you can stop worrying about all these work-related stressors and you can just go to sleep and wind down, chill it off. That's about it. Hope this fills your battery, reduces or slows down the drainage on your battery, and makes you a more fulfilled, healthy, and productive person. See you next time. Hope with a sharper brain. Bye.